My name is Robert Rapson, an unusual name, the Rapson part. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Went to undergraduate school at Virginia Tech and graduate school at the Air Force Institute of Technology, and spent 50 years on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in the laboratory structure, mostly in materials and structures, but some other things too. I led the metals program, the ceramics program, a lot of other things in the materials world, including a lot of tri-service things in Washington. But I was scheduled to go to flight training, and for some reason they sent me to graduate school instead and said it was such a kudo. And when I graduated, I reapplied for flight school, and they said, no, you have an obligation now to pay back your graduate training. So that's how I ended up in the laboratory on that Wright-Patt until I retired in 2013. I feel like I had the best career anybody ever had at Wright-Patterson because I did so many different things. Most people get in the field and stay there, and I was privileged to get to move around in a lot of things. So I started out in a brand new area called advanced composite materials. You guys probably do a lot of sports and things and are very familiar with fiberglass. Fiberglass, of course, is glass fibers put in some kind of a binder that holds them together, and the glass has a very low elastic modulus, which is a measure of stiffness. On an airplane, or most high-performance, you need a stiff, lightweight. So to get enough stiffness out of fiberglass, you have to make it real thick. It gets too heavy. So the Air Force had searched for years for a higher performance way to do this, and then gradually moved into graphite fibers, which are kind of like fiberglass, only they're graphite instead of glass, and they're much lighter, much stronger, much stiffer. And that's pretty much been the workhorse for many, many things. But since then, I did some other activities. My first love was composites, because we did groundbreaking. Everybody thought they would never work. And to give you an example, the 787 is a composite airplane. The B-2 is a composite airplane. This all happened since 1963, so very proud of all that. So much of what I did involved travel. I spent a lot of time on the road. My earliest assignment was in the space program, so I spent most of my time on the West Coast, flying back and forth to things out there. But in the early days when I was on the West Coast, I was gone probably half of every month. And then it varied, like when we were doing the B-2, we were on the road a lot. I'd say on a normal year, it's probably 20%, 25% travel. I'd say probably 30% of what we did was classified. For a while, I was in the international intelligence materials community, which covers all the armed forces in the United States and also several in Europe who we shared information. And we even met in the CIA. And I had a clearance that my superior said, don't ever leave the country, because that's the clearance people have who kill people. And so they know if you're over there with very high level stuff. I mean, right at the very top of the whole thing. And that again was quite an honor to be escorted into the CIA, the CIA. But the main thing that I'm proudest of is I got to be part of the B-2 bomber, which you couldn't even talk about. When we would travel, you couldn't say where you were going even. You couldn't even tell your family where you were going. And it not only was the first virtually all composite high performance vehicle, but it's stealthy. And stealth is one of the big things and there's all kinds of stealth, but the main thing was radar. So the B-2 was probably a milestone that will never be equaled. They were going to build many of them and only built 22 when the new administration came in and killed the program, but they're still flying. That was my favorite job because everybody said you can't do it. So it was a real milestone, and only one has ever been lost. So that's my favorite. There's plenty more beyond that, but that was my favorite thing to be part of. Since then, there have been, the F-22 is stealthy. The F-22 is, I believe, the first airplane that's flown supersonic without an afterburner. If you know what an afterburner is, you pump fuel in the back and it burns it out, and you get a flame about half the airplane long out the back. So from a signature standpoint, that's clearly infrared, which you can't stand to have. So it's very unique in that it can fly supersonic without that. It's probably my next favorite of all the ones. And then, of course, I'm blown away by the 787. To think that that big transport is virtually all composites. If you ever watch it at a football game or something where they They have a flyover. And watch it, when it banks to make a turn, the wings go up. Because to carry the load, they're very flexible. And it's really interesting to see those wings go. An airplane that can carry all those people. To me, it's incredible what has happened in the number of years it took. The Wright brothers' first flight was 1903, and they were having dogfights in World War I with airplanes, like 15 years later. So that shows you how fast the technology moves. And of course, in that environment, so much of it is unknown stuff, you know. But I think we'd all be proud to be part of this heritage, and it really is amazing. And in the early days, everybody always talked about Wright Field was where everything's happening. So many facets, all was at Wright-Patterson, so we can all be proud if you're Dayton folks. Thank you for letting me do this. I hope I didn't ramble on. I thought you turned off the recording.